The Global Troop Resource, trying to put 1,000 skills into every troop's backpack. All right, awesome. Welcome, everybody, to the Global Troop Resource Show. We are here tonight, of course, with our comic relief of Randy Hardy. Say hi, Randy.
Hey, buddies.
And, of course, our co-host, Steve Perrone.
Good evening.
Great. So, Steve, tell us a little bit about the National Jamboree and how you're involved in it and why you're here tonight talking to us.
Okay, well, we have a National Jamboree coming up in 2021 that we're preparing for right now. I've attended the last 5 National Jamborees, and I've been on the steering committee of our council's last 4 committees. And the last 2 I co-chaired it, and this year for the 2021 National Jamboree, I am the chair of it.
Awesome. Fantastic. So we're going to get into all of those details right after this.
Hi, I'm Coach Scott, and if you've been a loyal viewer of the Global Troop Resource for the past few years, you've probably guessed that we broadcast from a home-based studio. That said, we're preparing for a future where we'd like to take our show on the road. Our plan is to start by visiting other troops on the East Coast and broadcast in person from scout camps and scout reservations. If you'd like to be on our show or to see our plans, visit globaltroopresource.com. That's globaltroopresource.com. Now, back to the show.
And we are back. So, Steve, tell me a little bit about what is the National Jamboree all about?
Well, National Jamboree is a gathering of scouts every 4 years, and it's a tremendous show that's put on by the national organization. And it's just a great time that all of our scouts go and attend, and something they'll remember for the rest of their lives.
And where's it held?
Well, from 1981 till 2010, it was held at Fort A.P. Hill in Virginia. From 2013 through the present, and permanently from now on, it's going to be at the Summit Bechtel Reserve in Mount Hope, West Virginia. This is a property that was purchased and developed by the Boy Scouts of America, so it's our permanent home at this point.
And that's right on the New River, isn't it?
That's correct. It's on the New River Gorge.
Yeah, awesome.
Some great whitewater.
I spent a little bit of time down there over the New River Gorge Bridge, which is absolutely phenomenal.
I'm old school. I prefer the old river.
So, tell us then when the first one was, and a little bit about how it's grown and morphed and changed throughout the years.
Well, the first one was scheduled for 1935 in Washington, D.C., but it was canceled because of a polio outbreak at the last minute. And it was interesting because, all the scouts had signed up. The cost was almost nothing back then. The patches had been mailed to all the scouts. So there are still 1935 National Jamboree patches out there, even though there was no Jamboree. Now, they postponed that one, and they had it again in 1937, and that one was also in Washington, D.C. And because of the war, the next one wasn't until 1950. And,
okay, since you're Professor Patch, do you have patches from the original?
I have a patch from every National Jamboree in 1935 and 1937. Yeah.
Now, are there counterfeit patches out there, Steve?
Absolutely.
How can you tell a counterfeit 1935 patch from a real one?
Well, a lot of the counterfeit ones have been made more recently, and they have plastic backs where the original patch would have threads on the back that you could see the white threads that are on the back of the patch.
So if I were going to counterfeit this, I would want to do threads on the back, not plastic.
Yeah. Also, to make matters even more interesting, the PSA produced a reproduction set of the original patches 35 through like the 80s, and a lot of those patches are out there, and they look very much like the originals, but again, they all have the plastic backs.
So why do they make all those duplicate patches? Sort of to memorialize, or to make money?
I don't know what the theory was behind them producing a reproduction set. The box that holds the patches is clearly marked reproduction,
Okay.
but nobody that's going to be selling them is going to have the original box. They don't want you to know.
Right. Right.
Speaking of price, Steve, how much is it to attend a jamboree?
Go ahead.
All right. Well,
What's the cost?
The price is different. Every council has a different price because the transportation is above what national charges. There's a base national fee, and to that, each council has to add on a number of other items such as transportation. So the fee at Cradle Liberty for Cradle Liberty is $1,800, which is slightly better than most of our surrounding councils.
So cost is a factor. I can tell you that because when my son was in Scouts and the Jamboree came around, it was going to be pricey for me and him to attend. So that actually kept us from going to the Jamboree.
Well, there are camperships available. National will be offering camperships, and that information will be released within the next 30 days. You will be able to apply online for a campership. Also, once national money runs out, our council, Cradle Liberty Council, also has campership programs. I believe that for the 2017 National Jamboree, we had a total of was over $60,000 was awarded in camperships to our scouts. Almost everyone that applied for a campership received some financial assistance.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about what's all included in the fee.
Okay, included in the fee would be the national fee, transportation down and back in a first-class motor coach, meals on
In the $1,800, that includes the bus trip?
the bus trip.
Wow.
Bus actually costs, when you divide it up among the number of scouts, the bus alone is $180 per person. So that's a substantial addition to
And it's
what national
about a
charges.
6-hour drive from
Oh,
here?
it's about 8 to 10, depending on, stops and breaks. Last Jamboree, we left in the very early evening, the night before the Jamboree opened. Therefore, we were there at the crack of dawn as it was just opening. We were one of the first troops to arrive. We were able to set up our campsites, and our scouts were out and about. They had a good idea where they wanted to go first. There were no lines at that point, and they had a great jump on everyone else.
Nice, nice. So are there age limits or rank limits or anything like that for scouts?
Yeah, the scout
How
must
about for
be,
scout leaders too?
weight limits for leaders. Now, the scouts have to be 12 years old by the start of the National Jamboree, and they cannot be more than 18. They can't have their birthday during the Jamboree. They have to be still 17 by the
They can't age
by the
out
end.
during, right,
Yeah.
okay.
But we just found out that a scout that turns 18 during the Jamboree can apply to go as a third assistant scoutmaster. The troops are made up of 36 scouts and 4 adults, with the third assistant scoutmaster being a youth between the ages of 18 and 25, or 17 years and 51 weeks. So getting back to what's included in the fee, besides the transportation, which is really where we stopped, we have uniform patches. There's special patches for the National Jamboree. There's a day pack that the scouts get. There's the duffel bag, a mess kit, neckerchief, their hat, name tag. Each scout gets 5 t-shirts, and then all the equipment that they're going to need at the Jamboree, the tents, the cots, the cooking equipment, and all the meals at the Jamboree. So
Do they go home with tents?
in the past, they've had the opportunity to buy the tents at an extremely reduced prices. In 2019, so it just passed this summer. During the Jamboree, it was decided that the scouts could take their tents home with them at no cost. So 2 scouts share a tent. They had to come to some type of an agreement, I guess,
Right.
as to which one would get it. But they did get their tents.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you said a name tag. Is that like a uniform name tag inscribed kind of
Correct.
thing? Or is it a patch? Or is
No,
it...
it's an actual plastic name tag
Okay.
with the scout's name on it.
I think that's so important because knowing the scout's name really helps the leaders keep them well managed.
Steve, you said that there's an opportunity to buy the tents at a reduced price. That sounds like a tent sale to me.
Robbie
Right,
Randy the robot tonight.
You got a lot of editing you have to do tonight.
Oh no, I'm not editing that.
Oh.
So, how do you assemble all the Jamboree troops? Because originally I thought, with us, Troop 512, we might send, 6 or 8 scouts down, and I thought they were a troop, and they went as a unit. But I understand that may not exactly be the case.
Right. We have already, the steering committee has reviewed what we believe the potential is for the right number of scouts that will be able to attend this year. And we have decided that we're going to go down with 9 troops. We have the option of adding 1 if we think we need it. So the 9 troops will consist of 1 troop of female scouts BSA. So we'll have a troop for our young ladies from all over council. We will have 1 troop for our City of Philadelphia Scouts. We have 3 districts in the City of Philadelphia, and last year we had approximately 41 scouts from the city. So all those scouts were put into 1 troop with the extra scouts, the overflow, the ones that signed up a little bit late, were put together but in another district. And pretty much every other district and council will have 1 troop. So troops are geographic based on district. In Conestoga district, our district, we likewise, in the Jamboree before last, we had 36 scouts, and for the 2017 Jamboree, we had 39 scouts from our district. So we had 36 in our troop, and then we had an additional 3 scouts that we put in the Constellation troop. Constellation being our district that's right next to us, and the way the Jamboree was set up, all of our council contingent was camping contiguously, and the Constellation unit was camped right next to us. So our 3 Conestoga scouts that were in Constellation District troop were 15 feet from us.
Nice. Now you said there's a girl troop as well. Now that's
Yes.
How many girl troops do we have in Conestoga?
I believe we have one female troop that I know of. Yeah, we have 1. Globally through the council, we probably have, and I don't know the exact number, but I would guess it to be something around 18 troops.
Okay.
We have about 150 girls registered right now.
Okay, so they come in as 1 troop, is that?
Yeah, I think that it's safe to assume that we will be able to recruit 36 females and 4 adult leaders, and we're going to try and get 4 female leaders for that
Okay.
unit. We've already have 2. We've already recruited a scoutmaster and a first assistant. It's one of the things the committee has to do is recruit the 9 scoutmasters and first assistant scoutmasters. We'll let them select their third assistant, but we'll interview them first, and then they'll have the option at some point of adding their third assistant, the youth that's 18 to 25.
Okay, and there's going to be special facilities for them. Are they located in a particular place on what I want to call the campus, but it's not. What do they call it?
The Scout Reservation.
We have what they call villages. It's
Villages, that's it.
And there's A, B, C, D, E, and F. F is going to be shut down this time, and E will be for staff. So each of our regions will be in 1 village. We are in the Northeast region. We are going to be in Village A, and from there it's divided into sub-camps, base camps.
Okay, so tell me, I know that the Bechtel Summit is sort of a high adventure camp. What if you're not really a high adventure scout? What if you're just sort of a mid-adventure?
Or a low life.
You mean like you?
There are so many activities there. There's plenty to do for everyone. Scouts will go and spend half the Jamboree on the shooting range, for example. There are lots of swimming opportunities, scuba, the paddle boats, and there's just so much to do. I get lost even thinking about the things. There is climbing walls, rock climbing, whitewater rafting. There's just a ton of things to do.
One place you look like you don't get lost is the mess hall. Tell me about the food, Steve.
Robots don't eat food. You know who he reminds me of? Have you ever seen sort of adult cartoon with Bender the robot?
Oh, Futurama.
Futurama. That's who he sounds like. Bender from Futurama. So, go ahead. Tell us about food.
It's going to be a little different this year for the 2021 National Jamboree. The last two jamborees, the food was handled grocery store style, where the scouts could select. They would go to the big warehouse where all the food was stored, and you were given so many points, and they could select what they would like to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And then they cook it in their village?
And they cook it in their campsite.
Okay.
So you would dispatch a 3 or 4 scouts with the wagons to go and get the food for the whole troop. We would rotate chores, and that was one of the chores, the food pickup. This time they're going back to the way it was originally up until 2 jamborees ago, where the same food will be given to each unit for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If there's any scouts that have dietary problems, needs, or there's religious food requirements, then we can get special meals for them. But the scouts will bring the food back to our individual campsite. They will cook it as a troop. In other words, they're going to cook for 40 people instead of cooking for a patrol of 8, which is traditional, the patrol method in scouting. But here we cook for all 40. There is absolutely plenty of food. Interesting thing, in the morning, you go and you get your breakfast and lunch at the same time, which is a great way of doing it. So they'll come back with their breakfast, and I'll have another group of scouts assigned to preparing the lunches. The lunches are all snack food, meats, cheeses, and they're packed in paper bags, and then scouts take them with them. So, once they have finished their breakfast in the morning and cleaned up, they pack their lunch in their day pack. They'll go off, and we don't see them again until dinner time. We have 1 of our 4 adults we leave in the camp every day, so if there are any issues, the scout comes back for something they may have forgotten, or they have an issue, they need something, we'll have an adult in the camp to assist them. Otherwise, the adult's other job is to make sure they don't come back. We want them out the whole day doing stuff.
Right.
We want them to come back exhausted, have their dinner, get revitalized, and then go out for their evening activities.
Now you said lunch was sort of snack materials. Do they get a sandwich, or can they buy a sandwich while they're there, or something?
There's plenty of food available to purchase at the National Jamboree, but the lunches are substantial. It's just that they're not the way we're used to it. They're not sandwiches, but it could be a can of tuna fish, it could be a can of chicken.
Okay.
And then you'll have crackers with it.
You got some protein.
Yeah,
right.
And there's always like meat sticks or cheese sticks. There's always plenty to eat. And at the end of the day, the scout may have 10 items for lunch. They come back at the end of the day, there was something there they didn't like. We'll have a box set up in the site. We call it Take One, Leave One. So they'll essentially, if there's something that they didn't like, but maybe their friend did, the friend will grab it out of the box and put something he didn't like.
Nice.
And it really works out.
I like that. That's a great idea. But following up on that, if I wanted a hamburger midday, could I get one somewhere, or it's just like normal camp where
McDonald's?
No, absolutely. In the center of the Jamboree, there are lots of food places where you can go and purchase a meal.
Jamboree food court?
Jamboree food court, sure.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit more about the actual camping site. How do I assure that my site is flat, or how do I get the best site, or is there a raffle to sort of get yourself into a good site?
So that's been well taken care of and thought out. This was a mountain. Where the Jamboree is. It's in a mountain range, and
West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.
What they did was they took the top off a mountain. They leveled it, completely leveled it. There's very little elevation changes where we have our camp. There's some gradual changes.
I've slept on a hill before.
That's not fun. But they put in lakes, so every campsite is exactly the same. They're rectangular, they're all parallel to each other, they're throughout the many acres of the Bechtel Reserve, and it's just one site after the next, all next to each other. They're completely flat, there's no rocks. It's nice, fresh, clean grass. It's just it's a beautiful site, and they have taken care of drainage issues, so there's no flooding. They have like some gullies for if there are.
That's so
Yeah,
nice.
it's
My
been well
goodness.
planned.
Okay.
There's latrines conveniently located. You can see several in every direction.
I'm going to be serious here for a moment.
Impossible.
No. They took the top. Is that really being conservation minded?
Leave no trace of the top of the mountain.
I'm just saying, it kind of goes against what we're all about.
So what did they do with all the dirt that they moved? Did they reconstruct areas and, make their zip line
Well, the whole reserve
area or
has not
something?
been topped off.
No, just a camping area. And I know that the trees that they had to take down were recycled and used in the construction of buildings and latrines
Awesome.
and whatever.
Very cool.
Very green.
Now,
No hot water
oh,
in the showers.
Oh.
It's ambient water.
but it's warm down there in the summer.
It gets very warm in the summer, and it rains. But the neat thing is you are in the mountains, so you have a little bit of elevation, and it might not be as hot as, for example, it's cooler than it was at AP Hill in Virginia because
Okay.
you have some elevation. And some of the storms, the rainstorms, because you're in the mountains, they might go around you to the left and to the right too. So we do avoid some of them.
Now, the last Jamboree, I think, was in 2018, correct? 2017.
Yeah.
And I was coming back from a business trip in Atlanta, and I was actually thinking of visiting for a day or two. So what would that have entailed, and would I have been allowed to visit?
Visitors are welcome. They have to get a visitor ticket. They park their cars in a special lot. They're transported to the Bechtel Summit Center, and they are pretty much restricted to the center portion of the Jamboree where there's plenty of activities and things to see. But the visitors, for example, can't get into the campsites where the scouts actually camp.
So tell me about the shows and the other things that are happening there on site.
There's lots of entertainment that would appeal to scouts of the ages 12 to 17. They have lots of bands, and some pretty well-known bands come in. They had Mike Rowe a couple of times. He was there twice. He was extremely well received. He's a pretty funny guy, and he talks about his experience when he was a scout. And that was a lot of fun hearing from him.
Awesome. So I've also heard you have a pretty amazing fireworks display.
Right towards the end, there's an incredible fireworks display, and the last two jamborees,
Every scout reservation I've ever been in, fireworks are banned. Get out of here. But not this one.
not this one.
They do it over the lake, I bet.
They do it over a lake. Yes, they go off in two directions simultaneously. I mean, it's the same fireworks. It's like surround
Wasn't
sound.
there a drone display at the last one as well?
Absolutely, yeah. I'd forgotten about that.
And I think if you go out on YouTube, you'll see the drone display, and it was phenomenal. It was world class, lighted drones making designs and things of that nature.
Yeah. Speaking of world class, it's not just Scouts BSA that attend the National Jamboree. We have scouts from every country that send delegations, so our scouts get to interact with scouts from all over the world.
That's very cool. So what happens then if a scout gets injured? What kind of medical facilities and things like that?
There are medical facilities everywhere. We have hundreds and hundreds of doctors, nurses, EMTs, and other medical professionals in every base camp. So no matter what the specialty, what the need is, whether it be a podiatrist, a dentist, a plastic surgeon, they are on staff at the National Jamboree. And if there's more serious injuries, then they would be probably initially seen in the Jamboree Hospital, or they're taken directly to the local hospital. But there are just a ton of doctors and facilities at the
You
National
have a
Jamboree.
helicopter pad there or anything like that?
Yes, there is. And there's no cost for these medical services at the National Jamboree. Then they are volunteers, these doctors, nurses. As a matter of fact, not only are they volunteers, but they're paying to attend.
Yeah, I understand that. Cool. Well, we're going to wrap up in just a minute, right after this.
Hi, I'm Coach Scott from the Global Troop Resource. I'd like to share with you some information about a non-profit called the Education Alliance for Amateur Radio. These are the guys that I called to help my troop complete the Radio Merit Badge, and they are awesome. If you have any interest in running the Radio Merit Badge for your troop and are on the East Coast, preferably the Mid-Atlantic region, they are an excellent resource. They also happen to teach the electronics and electricity merit badges, but the radio merit badge is their specialty. Their goal is to promote science, technology, engineering, and math education within organizations like the Scouts, plus communities like first responders and others who use or advance the use of amateur radio. Calling your attention to this nonprofit is just another way that Global Troop Resource is trying to put 1,000 skills into every troop's backpack. You can learn more at www.radiostemalliance.org. Now, back to the show.
We are back, and we're going to wrap up. So, Steve, do you want to leave us with any words of wisdom about either attending the Jamboree or setting your scout up to go to the Jamboree or something of that nature?
Well, once you sign up on the national site and then go to the Cradle Liberty site, get your request to attend form, you submit that to Cradle Liberty Council with a deposit, your check for $300. Following that, it's $100 a month for the next 15 months.
So you have to sign up well in advance.
The registration site opened the last week of December 2019, so registration is live right now, and the sooner scouts sign up, the better.
So when is the next Jamboree?
Well, the next one after 2021, the one we're talking about now, would be 2025. They're every 4 years. They got out of whack one time, well, twice actually. They didn't have one during World War II, and then there was a Jamboree in 2001, 2005, because it's every 4 years. The next one was in 2010, so that it would coincide with the 100th anniversary of scouting. Then they got back on track to 2013, 2017, 2021. Another reason they do it every 4 years is they want to have some space for the World Jamboree. Now, the World Jamboree is also every 4 years, but it's in the odd cycle for the National Jamboree. So while we were 13, 17, 21, World Jamboree was 15, 19, 23.
Okay, that's awesome. So registration just opened up. December 2019. So now we've got 15 months to be making $100 a month payment.
Yeah, a little more than 15 months.
Okay.
We have our 9 Scoutmasters already signed up. We have Scouts signing up. We're starting to assign them to their units. Pretty soon these Scouts, time goes by so quickly. Pretty soon these Scouts are going to be on a bus on their way.
Wow.
And they're going to, find 40,000 new friends. There's 40,000 Scouts attending the National Jamboree, and then we have another 10,000 or so adults that are needed to run the Jamboree, all the various activities. And we have our International Scouts, and it's a special event that most Scouts only get to once because of the age limitations. I mean, if you're 12, you can go again when you're 16, but
right.
That'd be about the only way a Scout would go twice. It's just a phenomenal.
Or get youth protection and sign up as an adult leader. Well, that concludes our show for tonight. I'm so pleased we were here with Steve Perrone. Not so pleased about Randy, the robot, but that happens sometimes. So be sure to come visit our YouTube page as well as our webpage at www.globaltroopresource.com, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
The Global Troop Resource, trying to put 1,000 skills into every troop's backpack.